Hello, my fellow investors, my dear members in our community here. This is going to be an update on one of our interesting investments, interesting at least in my opinion, which is Magna Mining. And this update is, of course, for all members, but perhaps specifically for those who've joined us relatively recently. We have Ballyman, H.G. Birkin, Chess Stockwell, Roby, and others. Apologies if I missed you out from this list or if I mispronounced your nicknames. But let me first start with a recommendation to have a look at my post from the 9th of December that is exclusive for the members here. This is an unlisted video that the public on YouTube cannot see. In this video, back from the early December, I discuss the valuation of Magna Mining, going into the fundamental details of what the company has in terms of resources in the ground and how that fundamental value relates to the market price given to the company at the moment. We talk about an interesting acquisition there from one of the largest Japanese companies. And as a result of looking at this company, me personally, as well as our model portfolio here, I personally have a substantial position in Magna Mining. And today I want to have a look at a quick update of what has been happening to Magna Mining. We see a bit of a price decline over the last few days. And given this decline, I want to share my opinion with you on this company. So let's have a look at this price. Last time I talked about Magna Mining, as you've seen from the previous screen, was on the 9th of December, where the price was somewhere around 46 cents. That's US cents per share. Again, I recommend you review that video where we suggest that perhaps valuation is much higher than market price. And over a few weeks after that, it seems that the market has caught up to that as well. Price has increased noticeably into the very end of 2022. And since then, we've had three interesting news updates from Magna Mining. Over here on the 5th of January, we see an update with some detail on a drill hole in Green Hill, one of the projects that the company has. All of the projects are also discussed on that video from 9th of December. Again, please do have a look at that. I still hold a substantial position in Magna Mining, and I think it's not a bad idea to pick up some shares if you are new here and if you don't have any of those, especially given that the price has declined quite a bit over the last few days. So coming back to the news update, there was a very favorable news update in the very beginning of January, on the 5th of January, with 4% nickel intercepts and additional metals beyond that 4%. So as a result of this really good news, that's from the 5th of January, we see on the 5th of January a huge green candle followed by a continuation higher over the next few days. This first update from the 5th of January showed that the nickel intercepts were quite nice, above average for that Green Hill, where we see the highest in indicated resources for the underground part of the resources at around 2% nickel equivalent. That's including all of the metals. While the 5th of January update, when you include all of the metals, shows up to 6 to 7% nickel equivalent. Perhaps the market was expecting that the rest of the results that weren't published by the 5th of January were going to be just as good or better, because as the next news update hits on the 10th of January over here, we see another relatively positive news with a 3.7% nickel and some accompanying metals in addition to that, even including some PGM metals at about 20.2 grams per ton, which is not too bad actually. That's the lowest drill hole over here, but as you see, the percentages perhaps aren't as good as the market maybe was expecting based on the previous news update. Yeah, we see a nearly 9% nickel equivalent over here, but that's only over 6 meters or so. While much more, around 36 meters or so is closer to a 3% nickel equivalent. So what happens on the 10th of January? Yeah, a bit of a spike with this kind of a positive news. But over the next few days, we see a decline in Magna Mining. Perhaps there are other factors as well. General market swings, market sentiment, perhaps the prices of nickel might have some sort of an effect as well. We see prices of nickel declining into 12th and into 18th of January. So that also at least partially aligns with this decline into the middle of January in the share price of Magna. But the most recent news update hasn't been looked at that favorably by the market. The most recent news update is from the 25th of January. So this just a few days ago, we see a bit of a dilution where Magna sold the 8.2 million in follow-through shares and an additional 2.7 million in common shares. So there is a bit of a dilution here that has not been taken very well by the market. We see that the price since the 25th of January, so that's this candle over here, since then the price has declined by 13%, into as it was Friday. But if you look at this dilution, 8.2 million in follow-through shares and 2.7 million in common shares, that's about 10.9 million shares. And if you divide by the outstanding common shares right now, so 10.9 over 157 previously outstanding common shares, that's a dilution of 7%. That's not extremely good news, but we were expecting some dilution as the company will need cash to continue development. In that video from the beginning of December, we saw that the amount of cash the company had was in around $2 to $3 million. That's if memory serves well. And of course, the company will need to raise more capital in future. So this is a dilution of around 7% if we just look at common shares. If you look at fully diluted shares with warrants and everything, that's around 190 million. So 10.9 over 190 gives us a dilution of under 6%, a dilution of around 5.7%. And the market reaction so far, as we've seen, was a decline of around 13%. So perhaps some overreaction here, perhaps an opportunity to pick up some shares, especially if you're a new member here, perhaps an opportunity to catch up with the rest of us to get at least some positions in Magna Mining, which I think is a very attractive long-term hold. Again, personally, I do have a larger position than the model portfolio shows. And to be honest, if the price opens lower as the markets open in the morning, I am very likely to pick up a little more shares. I'm not sure if I'm going to pick up a lot because my position is already noticeably large. But I'm quite likely personally to pick up some more. I'm not sure if I'll put that into the model portfolio, but we'll see about that. The main point here is that, yes, there has been some dilution announced on the 25th of January, around 6 to 9% dilution. And as a result of that news, the price has declined by 13% or so. Perhaps if you don't have any positions, it's not a bad idea to get some positions, at least small ones. And looking at nickel prices, it looks like they have started to recover over the last couple of weeks. And zooming out to the longer-term chart, one-year chart, we do still seem to be on an uptrend. That's all the way since late summer last year. And again, if you scroll down to the stockpiles of nickel at LME, they're declining. The decline shows around a 10% decline just since the beginning of this year. So zooming out to a year, over the year, since the beginning of last year, the LME stockpiles have already declined by, what, that's around 45% or so, nearly half. So perhaps nickel will be in demand, perhaps there might be some short squeezes in nickel prices. That's not what we are looking at right now. Generally, the fundamentals of Magna Mining are still attractive, even after this relative dilution, as the market might be overreacting. I still think that in the very long term of the next few years, as the development continues, as there are new assay results published, as the company perhaps announces resource updates, as they show more and more resources in the ground, the fundamental value of Magna Mining is highly likely to increase substantially. Again, for slightly more details, have a look at that December 9th video. But as the market realizes this difference between the fundamental value and the market price, as the market price perhaps catches up to that fundamental value over the years, there will be swings up and down, down again, just as I mentioned, because there will be some dilution. The company still needs to raise some cash for some of its upcoming future facilities, such as the Shakespeare processing plant that I've mentioned in that video. That plant will require more than $200 million, while at the moment the company has perhaps 18 to $22 million in cash. They used to have 2 to 3 million at the beginning of December, and they are raising another 18 or so. So the company has multiplied its cash position by perhaps more than 8 times, more than 8-fold. That is a bit of a silver lining on this dilution news, actually. So there's your update to this video from the 9th of December. Welcome to the new members, and a call to all of you, my friends, to perhaps leave your ideas in the comments. Let's have a bit of a lively exchange going on. Perhaps that will be mutually beneficial to all of us. And I'll continue to keep doing my best to provide as much value as I can to you guys. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.